Some say that within our hair is carried all of the experiences we have experienced since that follicle was grown. All the thoughts, all the feelings, any emotional turmoil, anything extremely gratifying or positive, just anything and everything in general. And it's something that stems from many different cultures and some religions, if I'm not mistaken. This isn't necessarily a topic I'm very well versed on, but it's something that I think about a lot. As somebody who has embarked now on their dreadlock journey for the last 4 years, I've always, well, no, tell a lie, I have become a lot more aware of hair and what hair means and what it means to me, most importantly. And it's also made me curious as to what it means to other people. Some people prefer their hair to be long, some people prefer their hair to be short, some people cut their hair on a regular basis, some people haven't cut their hair in years. And it's something that I personally believe in, to be quite frank. I believe that our hair is somewhat a storage unit, a storage system of experience. Everything that we experience, both internally and externally. And I think personally that's what makes it special. Not only is it a storage of all the thoughts that I've had over the past 4 years, it happens to be a storage of everything that has happened around, in and around me in the physical realm in the past 4 years. And whilst that wasn't what it meant to me when I first embarked on the journey, it came to me, I would say about a year ago, when I found out that that was why a lot of ancient, I guess you could say civilizations, societies, grew dreadlocks because they believed that within their hair, their experience was stored. And that would allow them to reset after a significant experience in life or spiritual enlightenment, or for whatever reason. You always had something that you could do in order to say to yourself, right, this is a new beginning. I'm going to cut my hair, start again. I want rid of whatever experience I may have had. And whilst I personally don't plan to do that anytime soon, it made me think, kind of like, I'm just gonna be waffling in it. So if you're not here to listen to me waffle, you might as well bounce now, because this is a bit of a clusterfuck of thoughts that I've had over a long period of time now, that I'm just trying to kind of piece together and make sense of. Because initially I began my dreadlock journey in an attempt to disconnect from vanity. That was the beginning and still is a huge part of it, right? And in many ways, that was what led me to all this waffle that you've already listened to, if you've made it this far. Because I've noticed a real conflict within myself recently, being a content creator. Because it's kind of ironic, like, content creation is inherently vain. And in the last 4 years, I've embarked on a personal journey that has allowed me to disconnect from vanity. And I find that now I'm embarking on a new journey, which is this train everyday journey. I find myself conflicted because, like I said, content creation is inherently vain, right? Whether it's for the purpose of building a brand to do good in the world, or whether it's for the purpose of building a brand to make you and your family financially free, whatever it may be. By principle, the art of recording yourself, or the practice, of recording yourself and posting it out there for the world to judge, strikes me as inherently vain. And whilst I feel like there's a reason or two that I can kind of excuse myself for it, it's annoyingly frustrating. It leaves somewhat of a bitter taste in my mouth, because I'm a big believer in, especially as men, as we walk this planet, I'm a big believer in us disconnecting from vanity, because vanity is inherently hedonistic. Like, it's not something that is gonna serve us long term. It's instantly gratifying. It places values. You run the risk of placing self-worth on other people's opinions and the way in which the world judges you and perceives you based off your appearance. And in my opinion, like, that's hell. Like, that's a hellish experience, if you ask me. It kind of aligns with my belief system surrounding training for purely aesthetic purposes. And I say that very literally. And if it offends you, in many ways, I'm not sorry. Because when I say that very literally, if your sole purpose, again, take what I'm saying literally, if your sole purpose is training for aesthetics, then to me, that is hedonistic. That is no different to financing a car that you can't afford, buying some jewelry that you can't afford, buying some clothes that you can't really afford, just to look better on the outside world. If aesthetics is part of the play, however, you train because it soothes your soul, soothes your mind, it gives you a place to disconnect and look within yourself, test yourself, push yourself, learn about yourself, along with aesthetics, then fair play. And that's most people's case. Even people that train for aesthetics primarily, a huge part of it, whether they in most cases realize it or not, is there is a spiritual and emotional element to it and mental element to it. So yeah, this conflict has left me kind of pondering, like, okay, am I still connected to what other journeys that I embarked on prior to this train everyday journey? Most importantly, my dreadlock journey, because along with not cutting a single hair on the top of my head, I didn't cut a hair on my entire head for the first 3 or so years. And coincidentally, it wasn't until I started content creating, started watching some videos back, realizing, wow, my beard is a mess. There is a reason why my mum calls me a caveman, and that is because I do genuinely look like a caveman with my hair like this. And then vanity led me to start taking a little bit more care of my beard, which doesn't really sit right with me based on what I initially intended for that little journey to be, but it benefits my brand, quote unquote. And then on top of that, another layer was added to my understanding and perception of hair from listening to a book called Iron John, a book about men. And I've forgotten the author's name, and for that, I'm sorry. Damn. I can't remember it. Anyway, and in this book, he spoke about how throughout time and throughout the ages, hair has been the... How does he put it? I'm going to butcher this, and the saddest thing is I've listened to this book twice, which is bad. It was a little while ago now, like 3 months ago. But anyway, he spoke about how hair is inherently masculine. It's inherently wild, right? It's a that's the word. It's a primitive thing, right? Animals are hairy, okay? And humans during certain periods of our existence, we've tended to err on the side of being hairless and being more hairy in certain civilizations and cultures and And that layer has been really, really eye-opening to me. I must admit, it's been really, really eye-opening to me, because I've found that the people who I've interacted with who have a lot of hair do seem to have a slightly more primitive aura about them. And I am in danger of creating that reality based on the book and perceiving them as such because of my influence from the book. Because in many ways that it did somewhat align with another reason as to why I started growing my hair out. And that was because I believe it demonstrated patience, right? It demonstrated patience and perseverance. I've gone through some phases with my hair where I have looked homeless. I have looked like I haven't got a penny to my name. And it wasn't fun. I'll be real. It wasn't fun. I've had countless times looking in the mirror thinking, nah, this has got to go. I've got to start catching and trimming it. And it's that patience and that perseverance that pulled off. And you need patience and perseverance in the wild. Like primitive animals, primitive species need that in order to survive. And yeah, I don't know, man. Hair to me is an amazing thing. It's a wonderful thing. I love hair. I love my hair. And it's a lot more than just it's far deeper than just a vanity project for me in many ways. It was far deeper than just liking a hairstyle and wanting to like follow a trend. In many ways, my influence came from one, my favorite rapper being J. Cole, and yes, his aesthetic appealing to me. But most importantly, it all began when I started listening to Bob Marley and understanding what dreadlocks meant to him and Jamaican people in particular, and why it was such a big part of their culture and the values and principles that it demonstrated and allowed them to kind of unlock, so to speak, by doing it. But yeah, man, it's a crazy world out here, and vanity personally don't really sit right with me. I ran the risk as a youngster placing too much of my self-worth on vanity and caring too much about outward perceptions of me, which has led me in my older age to go the complete opposite way and deliberately undertake practices that force me internally to either break free of the shackles that is vanity or just be a recluse and not talk to anybody because my hair's messy or my clothes aren't that sharp or this and that. So yeah, man, don't be vain. If you care, if you feel like you care a little bit too much about the way you look, then find a way to practice every day disconnecting from them. Because that's what my dreadlocks do for me. I'll be real. That's what they do for me. They serve me, serve my soul. But yeah, anyway, this has been a long one. And I know that listening back to this is going to be a bit of a mess, but they're always the best, innit? So if you made it this far, you, my friend, you mean a lot to me. I'll be real. And I don't say that lightly. I mention every day how much I appreciate all of you that make it to the end of these videos. But from the bottom of my heart, like, thank you, because giving me 14 minutes of your time, like, I appreciate that. You could be anywhere in the world right now. You could be doing anything you want right now, but you chose to sat there and listen to me for 15, 14 minutes. So for that, I am eternally grateful. You'll never get that time back. So thank you. And don't forget to thank somebody for giving you something as simple as their time. And don't ever forget the fact that they will never get that time back, whether it's your barber or your mother. Your barber could be anywhere on the planet, but in that moment, he's choosing to catch a little check just to cut your hair. Say thank you. And I shall see you tomorrow.